Many years ago, in the small town of Umuchichi, twin brothers were born into the Eme family. Emeka and Chimezie were identical twins, but that was the only similarity they had. Chimezie was smart, disciplined, and hardworking. He always finished top of his class, and his parents adored him. Emeka, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. He was lazy and quick tempered. He barely passed his classes and spent more time fighting in school than studying. Teachers would often call their parents to complain about his behavior. Each time, his parents would scold him and say, "Why are you always the only one getting in trouble in school? Eh? Always failing your exam. Why can't you be more like Chimezie, your brother?" But Emeka didn't even care, or at least pretended not to. One day, after another fight at school, Emeka had injured the boy gravely on his head, and his father was asked to pay the hospital expenses. His father was really mad, and he shouted at Emeka, "Chimezie is the only son I can depend on. You, Emeka, you will never amount to anything." Those words burned in Emeka's heart that night as he cried himself to sleep. He wanted to prove his father wrong, but every time he tried, he fell short or hardly even got noticed. However, despite all of Emeka's flaws, Emeka always behaved like a saint whenever Chineye was around. Chineye lived 2 blocks away from their house. She had a bright smile that could melt anyone's heart and a way of making everyone feel special. When they were very little, she was their very first friend. Chimezie was always the serious one, focusing on house chores or reading his books. Emeka would drag Chineye off for adventures. Before long, they grew naturally inseparable. "Let's go climb the mango tree," Emeka would say, and Chineye would race him to the backyard. They shared everything: dreams, secrets, and laughter. And as they grew older, Emeka realized he loved her. She was the one person who he could share his secrets with without fear of being judged. "Emeka, people don't really know you. They only see your quick temper, but underneath it is the sweetest soul on earth," she said one day, hugging him. Unknown to her, Emeka had fallen head over heels for her, but he tried to hide it every single day for fear of being rejected. When they were in SS1, he finally gathered the courage to tell her how he felt. "Chine, I've loved you for as long as I can remember. Will you be mine?" Chine's smile faded. "Emeka, you're my best friend and I care about you so much, but I don't think we are meant to be more than best friends, please." Emeka's heart broke, but Emeka held on to hope, thinking that one day she was going to come around. However, that was not to be. A year later, when they were now in SS2, Chineye relocated with his parents to Port Harcourt. After Chineye relocated, Emeka's restlessness seemed to double. He now skipped classes more than ever and was found in troubles that he could not even come out of. Although Chimezie never stopped being a good twin brother to Emeka, he tried to always cover up for Emeka when he could, even though Emeka's troubles were one too many. After they graduated, Chimezie secured admission into the prestigious Nigerian Defense Academy. The entire Eme family was overjoyed, especially their parents, who were proud to see their son achieve yet another milestone. But for Emeka, the news was another blow. He had failed JAMB that year and watched as his brother received praise while he was left to grapple with his shortcomings. When Chimezie left for the academy, life at home became a blur for Emeka. The house felt empty. Without his brother's steady presence, Emeka's already troubled behavior spiraled further out of control. He tried to prepare for another attempt at gaining admission, but frustration soon consumed him. When he finally gained admission into a polytechnic, it was an empty victory. His old habit followed him like a curse. He skipped classes, gambled away what little money he had, and drowned his disappointment in alcohol. Each sip numbed his sense of failure, but deep inside, the ache remained. Years passed and Chimezie blossomed at the academy. Chimezie, now in his final year, was returning home for a brief break when he spotted someone familiar. It was Chineye. She looked even more radiant than before, her smile as warm and captivating. Chimezie stopped to greet her, and within moments they were sharing and catching up like old friends. One conversation led to another, and soon they exchanged phone numbers. Not long after one of Chimezie's visits, he casually mentioned something that shattered Emeka's world. "I've been seeing Chineye lately. We met on one occasion when I was trying to come back home. The girl is so amazing, my brother. And guess what? She has finally agreed to date me. We have started dating." The words hit Emeka like a punch to the gut. His heart raced and for a moment he couldn't breathe. Chineye, the girl who had been his only source of light in a world that always seemed to favor his brother. The one person who had ever made him feel seen, understood. So she was now with Chimezie. He forced a weak smile, trying to mask the storm brewing inside him. That's great for you. I'm happy for you," he mumbled. That night, Emeka lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, his heart aching in ways he hadn't thought possible. Memories of Chineye flooded his mind, her laughter, her words, the moments they've shared. He had loved her in silence for years, holding on to the hope that someday she might feel the same way. But now, that hope was gone, stolen by the brother who already had everything. His resentment deepened. He became even more stubborn, reckless, and detached. He stopped attending classes altogether. His academic life started falling apart. Eventually, he was expelled from school. It was as if Chimezie's relationship with Chineye had opened old wounds, ones he had buried deep within himself but could no longer ignore. Emeka drowned his pain in alcohol, each drink blurring the lines between anger and heartbreak. He numbed himself to the reality that the one person he had ever loved was now in the arms of the person he envied the most. But the spiral didn't end there. A few months later, whispers spread through the town that Emeka had impregnated a young girl. The news shocked the Imi family and brought yet another layer of disappointment to his parents. But for Emeka, it was just another chapter in the story of his crumbling life. The weight of the unspoken love and years of living in Chimezie's shadow had pushed him further than he ever thought he could fall. Despite everything, Chimezie never gave up on his brother. Years passed, and while Emeka floundered, Chimezie thrived. News of Chimezie's accomplishments as a rising officer in the military reached the family often. "Your brother just got promoted," their father would announce with pride, his tone always carrying a tinge of disappointment when he looked at Emeka. One evening, Chimezie returned home on leave. His uniform was crisp and his demeanor exuded the confidence of a man who had found his calling. He found Emeka sitting alone, a bottle of beer in hand. The air between them was heavy with unspoken words. "Emeka," Chimezie began, sitting beside him, "what are you going to do with your life, eh?" Emeka took a swig from his bottle and shrugged. "What is your business? I'll never be like you now, so I've taken my life the way it is." Chimezie placed a firm hand on his brother's shoulder. "It's not about being like me. It's about being the best version of yourself. You're capable of so much more." Emeka scoffed. "That's easy for you to say. Everyone's always believed in you from day one. But me, I've always been the black sheep and I've accepted that fate." "Emeka, I faced my own battles, but I didn't let them define me. You can still turn things around. Eh? Take responsibility." But Emeka shrugged. "Leave me alone, Chimezie." About the child, Chimezie continued, you have to take responsibility for that child, Emeka. You can marry his mother or not, but at least be a father to your child. Don't worry, I'll help you, he said, handing Emeka a small envelope. Inside was money to start a business. For the first time in years, Emeka felt a glimmer of hope. It wasn't easy, but with that support, he began to piece his life together. He married Amara and started a small trade, slowly building a foundation for his family. Though his path was far from smooth, Emeka said to believe that maybe, just maybe, he could become someone his brother and his family could be proud of. Chineye and Chimezie's bond deepened quickly, and not long after, they married in a beautiful ceremony. The family celebrated their union with joy. Even Emeka offered a rare smile of approval. For a brief shining moment, happiness enveloped the Eme family. But a year later, tragedy struck. Chineye died during childbirth, leaving behind a daughter, Ola, and a heartbroken Chimezie. Overwhelmed with grief, he poured all his love raising Ola, refusing to remarry. Chineye is my world, he often said. No one could ever take her place. As Ola grew, Chimezie would often take her to be with his mother whenever duty called and would rush back once he was done to be with his family. However, in an unfortunate twist of events, he lost both parents within a period of months. His dad had died in an accident while coming back from a function. His mom, who had high blood pressure upon hearing the news of his dad, developed stroke and couldn't survive it, resulting to death. Few months after his parents' death, Chimezie was called to oversee a year-long military assignment overseas. Unable to take Ola with him, he entrusted her to Emeka and Amara. Please take care of her, he pleaded. She's all I have left of Chineye. Emeka had assured Chimezie that there was nothing to worry about. Emeka promised to protect her, but as months turned into a year and Chimezie's return was delayed indefinitely, resentment began to fester. Ola was a replica of Chineye, and Emeka's resentment flowed from the fact that Chineye chose Chimezie over him. He poured his frustration on the 6-year-old girl, beating her for the smallest mistakes, forcing her to do all the chores she wasn't capable of doing at her age, and turned a blind eye to the cruelty of his children and his wife. Soon, news arrived that Chimezie had died on a covert mission. Ola's hope crumbled. In his final note, Chimezie entrusted Emeka with his savings, asking him to care for his daughter. Instead of using the money to care for Ola, Emeka squandered the money and turned Ola, who was now 8, to a street talker. As months went by, Ola's days turned into an endless cycle of pain and toil. From dawn to dusk, she scrubbed floors, washed dishes, and cooked meals for Emeka's family of 8. Every chore was met with harsh words, and any mistake earned her for the sting of Emeka's belt. Is this how you repay me for giving you shelter? Emeka would roar whenever she faltered. His voice echoed in her mind, even as she walked in silence, her tears mixing with soapy water she used to clean. Amaka was no better. She often accused Ola of being ungrateful and lazy, loudly complaining to neighbors about how burdensome it was to raise someone else's child. The nights were even worse. One of Emeka's sons, Uchenna, crept into her room under the cover of darkness. His shadow loomed over her, a source of terror she could not escape. Each time he violated her, he would warn her to stay silent. No one will even believe you, Sef, so if you like, go and talk, he whispered venomously. The first time Ola summoned the courage to tell Amaka, she was met with a slap. How dare you accuse my son of such a thing? Amaka hissed. When Emeka heard of the accusation, he beat Ola until she could hardly stand. You will not ruin my son's reputation with your lies, he bellowed. The grief was suffocating, but she had no one to tell. She often sat by the small window of the room she was given, staring into the dark sky and whispering to her father, "Papa, why did you leave me here? You promised to protect me, now you are gone." 5 years later, Ola had grown into a quiet, withdrawn young woman, her once bright eyes now dull with sorrow. She bore the scars of Emeka's rage both on her skin and in her heart. Despite her suffering, she clung to the memory of her father and mother, drawing strength from the fragments of love they had given her. One evening, after enduring another brutal beating, Ola sat outside, nursing her wounds. As she looked up at the stars, a fierce determination ignited within her. She whispered to herself, "This is how my story will end. I am my father's daughter. I will survive this. And one day, they will all regret what they've done to me." Her resolve hardened as days went by, as she secretly began to plan her escape. Ola knew the risk. If she's caught, Emeka's wrath would kill her. But staying in that house meant certain death of her spirit. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered to herself, clutching the few belongings she had managed to hide over the years. Under the cover of darkness, she slipped out of the house and disappeared into the night. Days turned into weeks, and while Emeka's family barely noticed her absence, Ola roamed the streets of Umuchichi. Hungry and frightened, she found refuge in a small dilapidated shed near the town's outskirts. A kind old woman occasionally brought her food, but Ola lived in fear, haunted by the pain of her past and the uncertainty of her future. One afternoon, the rumble of a powerful engine echoed through Emeka's compound. Emeka and his wife Amaka, lounging under the shade of a mango tree, squinted as a black SUV rolled to a stop. The car gleamed under the sunlight, and its imposing presence immediately unsettled them. Who could that be? Amaka muttered. When the car door opened and a tall man in a neatly pressed military uniform stepped out, Emeka was stunned. It was Chimezie. How can that be? Chimezie, is that you? Emeka stammered, jumping to his face. You are alive? He was just stammering. Chimezie didn't respond immediately. He walked past his brother, his boots crunching on the gravel, and stood in the center of the compound. He turned slowly, looking around, taking in the disheveled state of the house and the nervous faces around him. "Where is my daughter?" he finally spoke. Emeka and Amaka exchanged panicked glances. She ran away," Emeka finally admitted, his voice trembling. Chimezie's expression darkened. "Ran away? Why would my daughter run away from her own family?" "She's stubborn," Amaka interjected, "always causing trouble. We tried to discipline her, but..." "What?" Chimezie's voice thundered, silencing her. "I left Ola in your care because I trusted you, and this is how you repay me." Emeka fell to his knees. Brother, please, it's not what you think. We tried our best." "Your best?" Chimezie interrupted, his voice dripping with contempt. "Where is she now?" "We don't know," they chorused. Chimezie's fist clenched. "You don't know? You let my child disappear and you don't even bother to look for her?" Without another word, Chimezie turned on his heel and strode back to his SUV. "I'll find her," he said coldly as he drove off. Emeka and Amaka stood frozen, dread sinking in. Within days, Chimezie's connections in the military and local authorities had located Ola. She was found weak and malnourished, but alive. When she saw her father, she collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, Papa," she cried. "You have nothing to be sorry for," Chimezie said, his voice soft yet firm. "You're safe now, and no one will ever hurt you again." Chimezie brought Ola back to his new home in the city, determined to give her the life she really deserved. He immediately cut off all financial support to Emeka's family, leaving them to fend for themselves. The absence of Chimezie's support hit Emeka's household hard. The bills piled up and the family struggled to put food on the table. Emeka had to swallow his pride and went to Chimezie to beg for forgiveness. "Chimezie, my brother, please," he said, tears streaming down his face. You're the only family I have. We are starving. My children, they need you." Chimezie stared at his brother, unflinching. "You had my help for years, Emeka. You squandered it, and worse, my daughter. You turned her into a slave and allowed your son to violate her. You're lucky I did not press charges. He should be in jail by now. You get no more from me. You don't deserve it," he said angrily. "Please," Emeka continually sobbed. "I'll do anything to make it right." "Make what right exactly, Emeka? Do you see my daughter? All you have put her through? Please, leave my house." As Emeka left, defeated, Chimezie turned to Ola, who watched from the doorway. "You don't have to worry about them anymore," he said, pulling her into a protective embrace. "From now on, it's just you and me." Despite his pleas, Chimezie cut off all ties with Emeka. With Ola, he began a new chapter, ensuring she grew up surrounded by love and opportunity. Through hard work and therapy, Ola slowly healed. By the time she reached adulthood, she was a confident and accomplished young woman, a testament to her father's unwavering love. As for Emeka, he was left to face the consequences of his actions, haunted by the love he had destroyed and the brother he had betrayed. And so, the story of the Eme brothers became a tale of choices, one who rose above his pain to protect the ones he loved, and another who let his pain consume him. The end. Thank you so much for watching this very interesting story to the end. I hope you learned a lesson or two. Emeka's actions teach us that when you are giving love and support, don't take it for granted. Greed and cruelty never ends well. It's always better to treat people with kindness and gratitude. The story also tells us to be kind to others, especially those who might not have anyone else looking out for them. Emeka felt Ola had no one and treated her cruelly. In the end, it backfired. Thank you for joining me today. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It will help us share more interesting stories that will inspire us to be better people. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind. Thank you. Bye.